Welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Monday, October the 11th. And once a month, we have a chance to chat with this gentleman about not only his current business trends, but about the economy, especially with a West Michigan focus. He is Dr. Brian Long, the Director of Supply Chain Management Research at Grand Valley State University. He's on the other end of our Zoom connection this morning. Brian, good morning. And so hopefully, I assume all is well on your end.
It is indeed.
Glad you are with us. And let's talk about your current business trends. Again, for those who are relatively new with us, Brian canvasses purchasing managers in the Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo markets last 2 weeks of every month to provide his current business trends document, looking at the West Michigan economy and other trends as well. He's been doing that for now about 4 decades.
Indeed. It's been a pleasure to be of contribution to the community also on this note.
Yes. Your title for your survey for the month of September 2021 is "The Recovery Continues to Flatten." Explain a little bit of some of the highlights from your canvassing and the conclusions you were able to come to.
Well, after every recession, we have a bounce, and that is typical of all the recessions since the Second World War. This was no exception, and so we expected to have some very high numbers for a while, and then we expected to return to some sort of a normality. Unfortunately, we've got several problems that are inhibiting the recovery right now. The first is, of course, most of the respondents to our survey, in one way or another, are struggling with personnel issues. They can't find enough people, and we had that problem before the recession even began. The other problem, of course, relates to the supply chains. One participant said, "This is the most challenging time in my career," primarily because of the disruptions in the supply chains. There aren't enough trucks out there. There aren't enough containers. There aren't enough airplanes. There aren't enough anything out there. And as a result, the purchasing professionals are expediting just about everything. Now, the law of supply and demand says when demand goes up, so does price. And this is the other challenge of trying to hold the line on pricing. And this was not built into, of course, the scenario that they had planned for this year. So this puts them under tremendous pressure from several different directions.
Now, the other thing, too, and you're talking about supply chain with disruptions, and we've talked about this before, the snarl up, and most notably in Los Angeles, getting supplies from the West Coast ports eastbound, and that was exacerbated by the COVID-19 situation. Now it might be a situation where one of those boats that was waiting to get through the Los Angeles dock may have knocked that pipeline out and caused the oil spill. That LA situation's got to be taken care of soon, Brian.
We hope that it will be, but so far, nobody is projecting any progress on that. In fact, that oil spill that you heard about out in California right now was indirectly the responsibility of a ship that dropped an anchor and hooked that line that was pumping oil on shore. They usually are clustered fairly near to the port, but this ship, because there are 70 or now 80 of them anchored out there, was way, way out. And this is a side problem associated with that port. And we right now haven't heard anybody moving toward a solution. We've seen lots of people pointing fingers. They say that there isn't room on the docks because they can't clear the docks. They can't clear the docks because there's not enough trucks or rail cars to take the stuff away. The people that are supposed to take it away say, we don't have enough trucks, we don't have enough rail cars. And so the finger pointing goes on.
Yeah, it's almost a circular firing squad in that regard. Yeah, they're all going to be shooting themselves in the foot if this goes along. Industrial inflation, that is something we've talked a little bit about in the past. How much of a concern is it still about maybe seeing industrial inflation hit us?
Inflation at the industrial level is going wild right now because of, again, all of these shortages that we are talking about. In addition to that, all the primary metals, by that I mean zinc, tin, nickel, lead, all of them are going up in price right now, rather dramatically, I might add. Many of them have doubled over this past year. That, of course, gets built into the price structure of the industrial firms. Historically, the fact that industrial prices went up, it would eventually spill over into the consumer market. That has not happened in recent years, largely because of foreign competition. The problem this time is the foreign competition has the same prices going up at the same time. So we are beginning to worry that industrial inflation will start to spill over into the consumer market, even though there's these projections that this current consumer inflation is temporary.
Now, how much of a concern is current rising fuel oil prices, most notably gasoline, been on your respondents? Are they concerned that the ongoing rising of prices since January could eventually be a major factor in how they're trying to get things done?
For the respondents to my survey, they are, of course, most concerned with diesel fuel because many of the products that they purchase and sell are distributed by trucks. And of course, the amount of tonnage that we have put on trucks in recent years has continued to increase. Obviously, as we've seen gasoline prices go up, diesel prices have gone up at the same time. They are concerned that, of course, this adds to the cost of just about everything that they buy and everything that they sell. Some of the time they can pass these price increases along, but it's the ones that can't pass it along that are most concerned right now.
Two more questions and we'll let Brian Long go. First of all, the employment situation. We mentioned this a little bit earlier about trying to find workers instead of workers trying to find jobs. It's jobs trying to find workers. It's still that case right now.
That is a continuing problem. I'm going to have to say at just about all levels in the firm. Yes, we are short the technical trained people, the CNC operators, the certified welders, and that type of thing. But the entry level people are coming up as in short supply as well. Unfortunately, there's no end in sight to that problem either, except to hope that more people will decide to rejoin the workforce. We had about 2% of the entire workforce that just plain dropped out during the pandemic. Some of them retired. Some of them had daycare problems. Some of them just felt that it wasn't worth their while because of the cost of daycare or other considerations such as transportation. But they in turn are beginning to file back into the industrial market. This is a very slow process. We're hoping that this will happen over the next 6 months or so. But again, some people, as I said, just dropped out permanently and retired or decided not to participate.
One final thing, Dr. Brian Long. The question that you had posed, not only your summary of your report, but also in disclosing the report to your subscribers, and we're very appreciative that we are included among them, is the economy overheating? Is the world economy overheating? If you can answer that or can answer that for us, that'd be nice.
Nobody can give a definitive answer to that because obviously the world is full of highly trained economists that all have different opinions, even though they have credentials that are supposed to be able to predict these kinds of things. Right now, I am on the cautious side because of all of this overheating that's going on. In the past, any kind of overheating has resulted in some kind of a downturn. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this time. We're on new turf, I guess I should say right here, because we've never had a pandemic in recent years that we've had to recover from. And for that reason, we can't just easily predict. But I am concerned about overheating. Yes.
He is Dr. Brian Long, the Director of Supply Management Research at Grand Valley State University. He joins us most months to be able to talk about not only his report, but about some other economic topics as well. As always, Brian, we appreciate the time. We appreciate the answers. Very gracious with your time. And if all goes well, Brian, let's do this again next month.
I'll look forward to next month as well.